Hey everyone, this is Nate, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do multicolor screen printing projects with the photo emulsion sheets. In previous videos I've already shown you how to create the stencils, and I've also shown you how to do the color separation for your designs using GIMP. So in this one I'm going to jump right in and show you my method for using the stencils to put the design on the shirt. Now there are several different ways you can do this, but my method is to start with an inside color and work my way out toward the border. So to begin with, I'm going to be starting with the orange color. And I'm going to mix my colors right on my squeegee to save time. And I'm using Speedball opaque paints. And I'm using the raspberry and the citrine opaques to mix to make orange. Alright, and now that the paint is mixed, I'm going to spread it onto my stencil at a 45-degree angle to push it down through the screen, and then I'll use a 90-degree angle with the squeegee to remove all the excess. And I'll remove my stencil, and I'll rinse it off and leave it somewhere to dry, and I'll come back and I'll blow dry the ink dry so that I can quickly move on to the next color. The next stencil I'm going to be using is the blue layer, the blue color. And because in the design the blue and orange touch at a lot of locations, I'm going to be able to line up the stencil very easily. I'm going to put my stencil over top so it covers completely the orange. And you can see right down through the center of the wing right there is where I'm looking to make sure that it's lined up perfectly. And once I've got it lined up, I'll use the blue painter's tape to hold it in place. And again for blue I'm using Speedball Opaque, so this is Cobalt. And again, I'll remove my screen and take it to rinse it out. And now you can see how well they lined up. You can see the areas where the blue and the orange are touching. And you can see it lined up very nicely. And I'll blow dry my ink dry so I can quickly move on to the next layer. And next I'll be doing the red of the bird's body. Using my blue painter's tape again to hold it in place. And now I'll give you a close-up so you can see how well it's lining up with the other colors. You can see how in the wing that's where I'm looking to see if my stencil's lined up. I'll make sure the emulsion there is going right around the outline of that wing. And in the center of the other wing, you can see there's some more orange, and I'll make sure the emulsion is covering up that as well. And for this, I'm using Speedball Opaque. This is raspberry. And I'm blow drying the ink again. Make sure it's dry so I can move on to the last layer, which is going to be my border color. And you can see possibly the stencils weren't lined up quite right, possibly, which is why you don't see enough of the gap in there where the border color is going to go. And this is why I like to do the border color last, is because it's going to cover up any mistakes you made. We're not doing registration marks or any high-tech lining up the way professional screen printers would. So the trick here is to do the border color last, because it's really going to cover up any mistakes you've made if they weren't quite close. You're really not going to be able to tell that once you're completely done. And that's why it's really important you have to look at your design before you create your stencils to make sure your border isn't separating all of the colors. You're going to need two of your inside colors to be touching, like you saw that orange and that blue. But there are going to have to be places where those two are touching in order for you to line up your designs at the end. Now that I've got my last stencil in place, this is going to be purple, and I'm going to be mixing purple right on my squeegee. To make purple, I mix the opaque cobalt and opaque raspberry. And I'm blow drying my ink dragon. And you can see how nicely the border really brought in that detail. If we had done the border color first and any of our inside colors had been offset, it would have covered up the border, and we would have lost a lot of the detail. Doing the border last, it really brings out all the detail in the wing and around the edges there. And last thing to do is to heat set. So I'm using a piece of wax paper over my design, and I'll use an iron and heat set it. You can see this time I waited to the very end to heat set. You don't have to heat set the ink after every color. Alright, thanks for watching.